let's go through this using the analogy that Malcolm X gave us about the conditions on plantations, the antebellum South plantations. He said, look, you had overlords, house Negroes, field Negroes, right? We've been talking about that, right? Overlords, plantation owners, house Negroes are the ones who were the enforcers, the snitchers. They basically carried out all of the dictates, the edicts of the overlords. And the field Negroes are the ones who wanted to be set free. Now, I want to spend a little bit more time on our current election cycle that we've just completed and allow you to come up with who fits what caricature or analogous role based upon Malcolm X's, popularization of these archetypes, right? So again, I cover these things in my latest book, Revealed: The Archetypes of American Politics, right? So I cover it all in that book, and that book is available on Amazon. All right. So let's go to it. All right. So here's what he said. He says, look, the plantation owner, the overlords, we all know that's pretty easy to see. Now, in the context of our past election, the overlords are really the ones who were bankrolling those who are leftist, progressive Marxists. Now, why were they bankrolling them? Because the overlords have global ambitions, right? They want to take us into a great reset. They want to take us, United States, and roll us into a new global order. And they have designs for doing that. So all of your leftist progressive politicians fall into that paradigm, right? So they were being bankrolled by and large by the globalist overlords. Okay, so that's just the way it is. Now, if you want to think of it in these terms, you could think of pretty much everybody on the left is being bankrolled by globalist overlords. Okay, so this is a fact. This is not disparaging. We're not trying to cast aspersions on anybody. This is the way our current world is operating, and it's all broken down in the book. So if the leftist, progressive, Marxist types are being bankrolled by the globalist overlords, and we saw the significance of those who are not being bankrolled by them, and that would be the Trump and the down ticket that were, we saw a big red wave, a landslide, basically. Then the overlords were upset that they didn't get the kind of outcome that they wanted, even though they spent over $1 billion on Kamala Harris's campaign, and then when you consider the down ticket, probably another $1 billion for different representatives and senators running in various roles across the United States. They didn't get their outcome. So I'm going to talk about and characterize appropriately in this past election cycle then the role of the House Negro. So these are pathologies. These are not has nothing to do with skin color. This is not a pejorative. This is I'm speaking about an overlay of an analogy and a particular mindset or pathology that has people act in the way that they do during election cycles. So we saw that then the those that embrace the House Negro pathology. What Malcolm X told us about the House Negro is that they're always compensated. First of all, these are people that are easily manipulated. Okay, they're easily manipulated. They are, the kind of people that they're duplicitous, right? So they could say one thing and do another. They're easily manipulated based on money or some kind of compensation. These are people that are unprincipled, obviously, if they're duplicitous and manipulated based on some kind of comeuppance, some kind of compensation. Then obviously they're not principled people. Uh, Malcolm X went on further to say, look, These were those that worked on the plantation. They were literally slaves, but worked on the plantation and snitched on anyone and everyone who would seek to leave the plantation. So they were compensated, but they were compensated based on the fact that they needed to keep everybody onto this collective, this mindset, this ideal that the plantation is where safety is, the plantation is where we can actually grow community and do this, right? So they were compensated. The house Negro is compensated to do what they're supposed to do, which is to make sure we have a collective, in our current terms, collective vote. Make sure that we keep all of our various factions and various demographics we go over. Make sure that they march to our beat. Make sure they're marching to the beat of the globalist order. So you had the overlords that dictated this is how we're going to run the world. You had your house Negroes that were compensated to make sure that they keep everybody on the plantation in a certain way of collective groupthink, asserting that, look, being on this plantation is the safest way. If you escape, if you go off and you try to be an independent thinker, you try to vote differently this time, you have Hitler, you have fascists, you have all these people on the other side. This is what was happening in our current election cycle. So, so let's play this out a little bit. So then we have Kamala Harris, who was the top of the ticket. Now, she's getting her marching orders, right? Obviously, she was a puppet. She wasn't really in tune enough in her own mind to be able to think through some of these things, even simple questions she was being asked. She was saying, yeah, I was born in the middle class. So, clearly she was a puppet, right? A puppet for the globalist overlords. And she was mandated to do what she had to do to make sure that she got the vote and to keep everybody on the plantation. So the way that she chose to do that is to, get Oprah, get Lizzie, get Sharpton, get all of these podcasters, these crazy podcasters to do these mock-ups. Come to find out, after looking at her budget and everything else, all of these people that she had to do these interviews with her, they were compensated. So I want us to think this through. You had the overlords that put demands on those in the pathology of the house Negro. The house Negro conforms to the demands of the overlord because they're compensated to do so. In Kamala's case, she was compensated by way of being a part of the elitist cabal globally. She would have been invited into Davos, and she would have had the most powerful position in the world as a U.S. president. So her compensation was clearly there. She needed to compensate people to do soft interviews with her, provide her some kind of space where she can articulate what she stood for, what she supposedly stood for, to their respective audiences. Nobody stood up for her and said, look, you don't have to compensate us. Just come on in. We're going to do this interview. Let's just do this. Every single person, now that we're going through her records, her financials, the reason why her her campaign was $20 million underwater after spending over $1 billion in just 3 months. That's over $300 million a month. That's over $1 million a day. The reason why they were underwater is because they had to pay Oprah, these podcasters, Lizzie, Megan Thee Stallion, Beyonce, everybody that performed for her, everybody that stood for her, everybody that did a commercial for her were compensated. Now, I want us to think collectively on this together. I told you what Malcolm X said, right? The overlords, their goal is globalist, elitist, whatever. They want to run things. The house Negro are always compensated. I want you to tell me, who are the house Negroes in this situation? Remember, anybody and everybody that's compensated to be able to make sure that they keep everybody else on the collective groupthink. Those that were, defiant about, well, anybody and everybody that votes for Trump is Hitler, Nazi, fascist, racist, misogynist, whatever it is. Anybody that did that based on compensation fits the definition of a house Negro. So you tell me, what is Oprah? What is Lizzo? What is these black pastors? Who are these podcasters? What characterization would you put them in? I'll leave it to you. We'll see you next time. Food for thought, baby. Come on, we're going to keep working this together. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, and make sure we keep going through this thing together, because this is a learning experience for everybody. Again, get the book. I break it all down. Everything is in there. Reveal the archetypes of American politics. Overlords, house Negroes, field Negroes. Which one are you? Get it, baby, and come on and see me next time.